The delegation from the Krell Imperium stood frozen at the observation deck's entrance, their chitinous frames rigid with what could only be described as existential horror. Commander Zekthara's translator implant struggled to process the sounds emanating from the human habitat. Below, high-pitched vocalizations that their database, labeled as laughter, mixed with what appeared to be growling. "This is a mistake," Zekthara clicked, his mandibles trembling. "The humans have clearly lost control of the apex predator. We should alert security immediately." Ambassador Vase, more experienced with human eccentricities, raised one clawed appendage in a gesture of patience. "Wait, observe." Below them, in the biodome designated for human recreation, Lena Chen was engaged in what the Krell could only interpret as mortal combat with a juvenile Taraxian render, one of the galaxy's most feared predators. The creature, which the humans had inexplicably named Tauren, was approximately 60 kilograms of rippling muscle, razor-sharp claws and teeth designed by evolution to shear through reinforced hull plating. Tauren crouched low, his 6 eyes fixed on Lena's legs, haunches quivering with predatory focus. His species had terrorized 12 star systems before the Galactic Council had declared them too dangerous for any civilized interaction. 3 Krell warriors had died just transporting this specimen to the human research station, and yet the human female was smiling. "Come on, baby boy," Lena called out, slapping her thighs in what appeared to be an invitation. "Come get me." Tauren's growl deepened, and he launched himself through the air with the kind of explosive power that had earned his species the nickname Planet Renders. To the Krell observers, time seemed to slow. They had witnessed Taraxian attacks before, brutal, efficient, inevitably fatal, but Lena didn't run. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she caught the predator mid-air, her hands those fragile, 5-fingered appendages that seemed laughably inadequate for combat, grabbed Tauren around his midsection with practiced ease. In one fluid motion, she used his momentum to spin in a complete circle. The cub's weight, distributed perfectly as centrifugal force, carried them through the rotation. Lena's laughter rang out across the biodome, genuine and delighted, while Tauren's growl transformed into something that the translator could only render as playful vocalization. She set him down gently, and he immediately jumped at her again. Zekthara's legs gave out. He collapsed onto the observation deck's floor, his 3 hearts hammering arrhythmically. Impossible. The strength calculations. The reflexes required. No species should be able to. "She's done this 17 times today," Vase interrupted quietly. "I've been watching for 3 hours. Indeed, Lena caught Tauren again, this time swinging him side to side before setting him on her shoulders. The apex predator, the nightmare of a dozen worlds, perched there contentedly while making a sound that the Krell database finally, hesitantly labeled as purring. "The human is deranged," Zekthara whispered. "She must be chemically impaired. There is no other explanation." Ambassador Vase pulled up a holographic display. According to station records, Lena Chen is a xenobiologist specializing in predator behavior. Doctorate from Earth's Oxford University. Published over 40 papers on cross-species socialization. Vase paused, double-checking the data. "She volunteers for this. Every day. For fun." Fun. Zekthara's translator nearly short-circuited on the word. Below, Tauren had wriggled free and was stalking Lena again. His tail, thick as a human thigh and tipped with a bony club capable of denting tank armor, swishing back and forth. Lena pretended not to notice, turning her back on the predator in a display of either supreme confidence or suicidal stupidity. The cub pounced again, this time aiming for her shoulders. Lena dropped into a crouch at the last second and Tauren sailed over her head. She pivoted and caught his tail, gently tugging him back toward her. "Sneaky boy," she cooed, rubbing the sensitive spot behind his primary ear cluster that made his back leg kick involuntarily. "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." "She's speaking to it in diminutives," Zekthara observed, his voice hollow. "The same tonal patterns humans use with their young." "It gets worse," Vase said. "Or better. I'm no longer certain which." He pulled up another file. "This is Tauren's medical record. When he arrived 6 months ago, he was malnourished, aggressive, and suffering from severe psychological trauma. The syndicate that captured him had kept him in a cage 1/3 his required size. He'd been scheduled for euthanasia. Even our best xenopsychologist couldn't approach him without sedation. Zekthara watched as Lena rolled across the grass, Torin bounding after her, pouncing on her stomach and then retreating when she tickled his belly. The human's laughter was infectious. Even some of the other humans passing by the biodome had stopped to watch, their faces displaying that peculiar expression of joy that the Krell found so alien. The human female requested assignment to his case, Vase continued. Within 1 week he was eating from her hand. Within 2 he was following her commands. Within a month he was... Vase gestured helplessly at the scene below. This. But he could kill her. Easily. 1 swipe of those claws. Yes, Vase agreed. He could. And she knows it. Watch her positioning. She's always aware of his mass, his momentum, his mood. She's not careless, Commander. She's confident. There's a difference. As if to prove the point, Torin's next pounce came with slightly extended claws. An accident of excitement, perhaps, or a test. Lena caught him again, but this time she immediately checked his paws, speaking in softer tones. Easy, Torin. Claws in, remember? She demonstrated with her own fingernails, and impossibly the predator's claws retracted. She rewarded him with what appeared to be a dried meat treat from her pocket, and he accepted it with surprising gentleness. Positive reinforcement, Zekthara murmured, recognition dawning. She's training him. Not training, Vase corrected. Befriending. The humans insist there's a difference. This is why the Council fears them, Zekthara said suddenly, rising to his feet. Not their weapons. Not their ships, this. He pointed at Lena, who was now lying in the grass while Torin curled up against her side. A 6-eyed killing machine reduced to something almost gentle. They see a predator, and they think friend. They see something that should terrify them, and they laugh. They take what should be impossible and make it look effortless. Vase nodded slowly. During the first contact negotiations, a human diplomat told me something that I didn't understand at the time. She said, "We domesticated wolves into dogs, turned wild cats into house pets, and taught apex predators to love us. We've been doing this for 40,000 years. It's what we do." Below, Lena had fallen asleep in the grass, one hand resting on Torin's flank. The massive predator who could have torn her apart in seconds instead adjusted his position to provide her shade, his multiple eyes half closed in contentment. 40,000 years, Zekthara repeated. And they've been teaching predators to trust them. Yes, Vase said quietly. Now imagine what they could teach the rest of us. The 2 Krell stood in silence, watching the human sleep peacefully beside the monster she'd transformed into a companion. And for the first time, Commander Zekthara understood why the galaxy's oldest civilizations whispered about humanity, not with fear, but with something closer to wonder.